Location: New York City, winter 2023. The bitter winds of winter had already begun to make their mark on New York City. The streets were lined with a heavy layer of snow, and the skyline above looked like a series of jagged teeth in the cold, gray sky. As always, the city was bustling. People hurried along the sidewalks, their heads down, wrapped in thick coat and scarves, as the distant hum of traffic filled the air. Among the crowd, sitting near a busy intersection just outside a luxury department store, was a homeless man. His name was Thomas. He was a middle-aged man with a scruffy beard, ragged clothes, and a tattered cardboard sign that read, "Hungry, homeless, need help." Thomas had been living on the streets for the last few years. His life had spiraled out of control after losing his job and eventually his apartment due to a series of unfortunate events. Every day he sat by the same intersection, hoping for even a small act of kindness. $1 here, a sandwich there, anything to help him survive another day. But more often than not, he was ignored. Passersby would walk right past him, some deliberately avoiding eye contact, others pretending not to see him at all. It wasn't that people didn't notice him. In fact, many of them looked at him with a mix of pity, fear, or disdain, but no one ever stopped. No one ever extended a hand. Thomas had grown used to it. The indifference of the city had become his reality. He had stopped expecting anything. But that day, something was different. He didn't know it yet, but his life was about to change forever. The encounter. As the afternoon wore on, the cold became even more biting. Thomas shivered as he huddled deeper into his worn jacket. His stomach growled, and he clutched his hands together, trying to warm them. The crowds around him continued to rush by, not sparing him a second glance. It had been hours since he had last received any help, and his hope was fading. Just as he was about to give in to the feeling of defeat, a young woman named Sarah walked past. She was dressed in a smart black coat, her blonde hair tucked into a neat bun, her heels clicking on the pavement as she carried a shopping bag. She appeared to be just another busy professional, rushing through her day. But then she stopped. It wasn't anything dramatic or obvious. It wasn't the typical feel-good gesture. Sarah didn't have a lot of money in her pocket, and she didn't have food to spare. She wasn't a billionaire or a philanthropist. But what Sarah did have was empathy. As she walked past Thomas, her gaze flickered to his sign. She didn't look away like the others. Instead, her steps slowed as she read the words carefully. The city was cold, but there was something in her eyes that was even colder. A quiet recognition of Thomas's humanity. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel invisible. Sarah took a deep breath, glanced around, and without saying a word, she bent down to meet Thomas at his level. Her voice was soft, but it carried warmth. "Hey, are you okay?" she asked, crouching in front of him. Thomas was caught off guard. No one had ever stopped to ask if he was okay. Not really. Sure, people had thrown him a few coins here and there, but no one had ever looked him in the eyes like Sarah did. There was no judgment in her gaze, no fear, just kindness. He blinked, unsure of what to say. I'm surviving," he replied, his voice rough from days of not speaking much. Without hesitation, Sarah reached into her bag and pulled out a sandwich, something she had bought for herself but hadn't gotten around to eating. She handed it to Thomas with a simple, genuine smile. "Here, it's not much, but I hope it helps." Thomas was stunned. He hadn't asked for anything. He hadn't even expected someone to acknowledge him.